Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. Endocrine System. Chapter 11. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. Prentice Hall, copyright 2001. Introduction. The endocrine system consists of cells, tissues, and organs that secrete hormones into the blood. Hormone, an organic substance secreted by a cell that has an effect on the metabolic activity of another cell or tissue. Target cells, cells that are affected by the hormone, have specific receptors for the hormones. How hormones work: basic action: the hormone combines with the receptor. The new molecular structure causes cellular changes. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. How hormones work. Activation of second messengers. Involves the cell membrane receptor. Activation of genes. Involves intracellular receptors. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. Prentice Hall, copyright 2001. The hypothalamus and endocrine regulation. Controls the adrenal medulla. Adrenaline. Releases hormones. Antidiuretic hormone, ADH. Oxytocin. Secretes substances that control the anterior pituitary gland. Releasing factors. Inhibiting factors. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. Prentice Hall, copyright 2001. Overview of the endocrine system. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. Prentice Hall, copyright 2001. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. The pituitary gland. Connected to the hypothalamus. Infundibulum. Master gland of the endocrine system. 2 parts. Posterior pituitary. Nervous tissue. Anterior pituitary. Glandular tissue. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. Prentice Hall, copyright 2001. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. The pituitary gland. Posterior pituitary. Receives hormones from the hypothalamus via axons. Anterior pituitary. Receives hormones from the hypothalamus via capillaries. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. Prentice Hall, copyright 2001. Posterior pituitary produces 2 hormones. Antidiuretic hormone, ADH. Target, kidneys. Effect, reabsorption of water. Oxytocin. Targets, reproductive organs. Effects, contractions of smooth muscles, labor contractions, milk ejection, ductus deferens, prostate gland, ejaculations, anterior pituitary hormones. Follicle-stimulating hormone, FSH, stimulates gametes. Targets, follicle cells, females, testes, males. Effects, follicle development and estrogen secretion, females, sperm maturation, males. Luteinizing hormone, LH. Targets, follicle cells, females, interstitial cells of testes, males. Effects, ovulation, formation of corpus luteum, secretion of progesterone, females, secretion of testosterone, males. Anterior pituitary hormones. Thyroid stimulating hormone, TSH. Target, thyroid gland. Effect, triggers the release of thyroid hormones. Adrenocorticotropic hormone, ACTH. Target, adrenal cortex. Effect, cells that produce steroid hormones. Anterior pituitary hormones. Prolactin. Target, breast. Effect, stimulates milk production. Growth hormone. Target, all cells. Effect, stimulates growth in general and the skeletal system in particular. Melanocyte stimulating hormone, MSH. Target, melanocytes. Effect, increases melanin production and distribution. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. Prentice Hall, copyright 2001. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. Pituitary hormones. FG19-05.jpg. Title, Pituitary hormones and their targets. Notes: this schematic diagram shows the hypothalamic control of the pituitary gland, The pituitary hormones produced, and the responses of representative target tissues. Keywords: pituitary hormones, targets, adrenal medulla, adrenal cortex, thyroid, peripheral tissues, mammary glands, testes, ovaries, melanocytes, kidneys, anterior pituitary, posterior pituitary, ACT, TSH, GH, PRL, FSH, LH, MSH, ADH, hypothalamus, oxytocin. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. Prentice Hall, copyright 2001. The thyroid gland location, anterior to larynx. Thyroid hormones include iodine in their structure. Target cells, most cells. Effect of thyroid hormones: increase energy utilization, oxygen consumption, growth, development. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. The thyroid gland. Other cells. Produce calcitonin, CT. Targets: bone, kidneys. Effect: lowers blood calcium levels. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. Prentice Hall, copyright 2001. Control of thyroid hormones. FG19_08.jpg. Title: The regulation of thyroid secretion. Notes: this negative feedback loop is responsible for the homeostatic control of thyroid hormone release. Keywords: thyroid activity, regulation, homeostasis, anterior pituitary, TSH, thyroid gland, T3, T4, body temperature. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. Prentice Hall, copyright 2001. The parathyroid glands. Location: posterior surfaces of thyroid gland. Produce parathyroid hormone, PTH. Target cells: bone, kidneys, intestines. Effect: increases blood calcium levels. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. Prentice Hall, copyright 2001. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. The Thymus Gland. Location: posterior to the sternum. Hormones enhance lymphocyte production. Development: childhood, large. Puberty, largest. Adulthood, decreases in size. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. Prentice Hall, copyright 2001. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. The adrenal glands. Location: on top of the kidney. Structure: capsule. Cortex. Medulla. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. Prentice Hall, copyright 2001. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. The adrenal medulla. Secretes epinephrine and norepinephrine. Target: most cells. Effect: stimulates heartbeat and tissue metabolism, increases alertness, prepares body to deal with emergencies. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. Prentice Hall, copyright 2001. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. The adrenal cortex. Secretes aldosterone. Target: kidneys. Effect: increases blood sodium, decreases blood potassium. Secretes steroid hormones, cortisol, corticosterone. Target: most cells. Effect: conserve blood glucose, anti-inflammatory effects. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. Prentice Hall, copyright 2001. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. The pancreas. Location: between the spleen and the duodenum. Functions: both exocrine and endocrine. Endocrine cells are in the islets of Langerhans. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. Prentice Hall, copyright 2001. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. Islets of Langerhans. Glucagon. Targets: liver, adipose tissues. Effect: increase blood sugar levels. Insulin. Targets: most cells. Effect: decrease blood sugar levels. Diabetes mellitus. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. Prentice Hall, copyright 2001. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. The pineal gland. Location equals hypothalamus. Secretes melatonin. Light inhibits production. Regulates circadian rhythms. Target, hypothalamus. Effects, inhibits FSH and LH secretion. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. Prentice Hall, copyright 2001. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. The testes. Divided into internal compartments containing seminiferous tubules. Spermatogenesis. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. Prentice Hall, copyright 2001. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. Seminiferous tubules. Androgens, male sex hormones. Testosterone is the most important. Target, most cells. Effects, maturation of sperm, protein synthesis in skeletal muscle, male secondary sex characteristics and behaviors. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. Prentice Hall, copyright 2001. The ovaries, follicle cells. Estrogen. Targets, most cells. Effects, follicle maturation, female secondary sex characteristics and behaviors. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. Prentice Hall, copyright 2001. The ovaries, corpus luteum. Progesterone. Targets, uterus, mammary glands. Effects, prepare uterus for implantation, mammary glands for secretion. Relaxin. Targets, pubic symphysis, uterus, mammary glands. Effects, loosens pubic symphysis, relaxes cervical muscles, stimulates mammary gland development. http://www.healthsquare.com/fgwh/wh1ch17.htm. Human Anatomy, 3rd edition. Prentice Hall, copyright 2001.